We are live now with Nick Sakha. So really stoked to have you, Nick. I know there's a bunch of people that have been probably seeing your stuff on YouTube, and really, really excited to have you here on the show. Um, Dude, if you want to just take a second quickly to just say who you are, what you do, where you're at, those kinds of things. Just a quick intro, and then I'll
Yeah,
dive into just getting to know you a little bit better.
yeah, absolutely, man. Well, first and foremost, I'll say that I love what you're doing. We're a cut from the same cloth. We're both
Thank you.
insurance agents making a name for ourselves in the YouTube and social media world. And we both have the same goal, which is just adding value to people,
Yeah.
helping insurance agents, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But mine's is kind of a little bit by accident. But about myself, I'm here in Vegas, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Nice.
I uh, I started in the insurance industry in very late 2016, so practically 2017.
Okay.
And prior to taking this leap into the insurance industry, I was a
Hmm.
banker for 7 years.
That's right.
And
Hmm.
prior to banking, I delivered pizzas. I worked
That's
at
crazy.
Subway.
Yeah, yeah.
I failed at a few of those network marketing businesses too.
Okay. Like, were they like MLMs or what were they?
Yeah, like I did Amway. I think
Oh,
I did prepaid legal, and what else? I think it
is it
was
kind of like a Northwestern Mutual, like kind of thing?
no,
Am I on the same track or no, not really?
no network marketing. It was like their Amway sold like grocery like items,
Oh, got
items.
okay, okay, okay. I was
Prepaid
way off.
prepaid legal was like having a lawyer 24/7. But I was like 18, 19 years old, so needless to say, none of those worked out. Was in banking while I got my degree at
Hmm.
UNLV for about seven
Oh,
years.
nice.
While I also finished my my well, I finished my degree. That's when I was in banking, and then when I got the degree, I
Uh-huh.
quit banking because I wanted to be a business owner, but I had no
Yeah,
idea what kind of business I wanted to have, and
sure.
I took the leap. I had a friend that opened up an Allstate office, and he was doing really well for himself. And we were hanging out at Top Golf, which I couldn't afford at the time.
Yeah.
He invited me. I was too broke. I was like, bro, like I don't have $60 for Top Golf, man. And but I did have a 401k
Oh, nice.
from banking that I happened to have at least 25,000 I was contributing to over the years.
Wow. Okay.
And he told me you should open up an insurance agency. And I was like, but I don't have any insurance experience. I've never managed
Yeah.
people like that. I never ran a business before,
So
but
you pulled it out of the 401k? Like, did you take the hit or
I just cashed it out. Because
dang?
at that point in time, dude, like I had really no other choice. Was
Yeah.
kind of in a, I was unemployed for like 3 months.
Wow.
Um, Not unemployed, but I tried working with one of my business clients and it just didn't work out
Yeah.
uh, from banking. And so I cashed out the 401k. At the time, it only took
Uh-huh.
25 to open up an Allstate office.
25, what was it? 25,000?
25k.
Oh, wow.
Don't
Still a good
that
amount of money.
that was the capital requirement back then. Now it's a little bit higher,
Is
but
it higher? Wow.
yeah, it's a
Oh,
hundred
shoot, man.
now. It's a hundred.
100K?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's nuts. I would have never been able to do it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I wouldn't have if it was 100k. No way.
Yeah.
Uh, but I took that leap, and that's here I am.
Yeah.
And then about October 2020, I always had this. Honestly, dude, I had this goal of starting a YouTube channel like in 2014, but
Oh, really?
I never did. I procrastinated on it,
Hmm.
and then I finally started that bad boy. And
Yeah.
insurance videos performed the best, so that's what I kind of stuck to.
Hmm.
And here we are,
Interesting.
and that's how we found each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen you through several different, Facebook groups and yeah, obviously YouTube, Instagram, dude, you're on top of it. I think I'll never forget the funniest one I think you've done. This is good feedback for you too, just because like it's always good to hear. Um, The one where you're like wearing the wig and then you like do the thing where you're like
Yeah,
angry customer or something. Dude, that one always stuck with me. That one's hilarious. That's a great
I,
one.
I need to do more of those. Those are the ones that like go the most viral.
Dude, that was hilarious. That's a great one. Well, hey Nick, I want to take it a step back before we like get into all the insurance stuff. Um, what was your childhood like, man? Like, did you grow up in like Vegas, or where did you, grow up? What did that look like? And then you got to like the pizzas and the sales and that stuff. So tell me, like,
Yeah,
take me back, like from the
for
beginning.
sure. For sure, bro. So I was born in San Diego,
Oh,
and my
nice.
my parents, split up at some point. My dad has nine
Hmm.
kids, a lot of kids,
Oh, dang.
and my parents split up, and my mom moved out here to Vegas when we were in sixth grade. And
Hmm.
early childhood, I knew my parents had more kids than they can afford, so
Yeah.
I always took opportunities to to work whenever I could, whether it's on the neighbor's yard, working
Uh-huh.
for my cousin's pizza shop or my uncle's jewelry store. Even if it was free, I just took opportunities to work, and then move out here
Hmm.
to Vegas. I start working in the cafeteria in middle school because for like $30 a week. Um, just because I wanted to make money because I hated seeing my mom struggle. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. And then as soon as I was able to start working, I got a job at Subway, worked there for like 4 years. I didn't have that
Nice.
typical like entrepreneurship childhood where I was
Uh-huh.
flipping stuff, like flipping baseball cards or selling candy at school. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wasn't doing that stuff. I was more so just working every opportunity I could get.
That's
But I
awesome.
but I knew I was like, yeah, I want to be a business owner, man.
Yeah.
I hated corporate America, and and I think a lot of my drive came from seeing my mom pay for groceries and stuff like that with a credit card, and
Okay.
me being able to distinguish the difference too. Like seeing, I'm like, that's a credit card, and I'm like, that's not money she has. Like, and
Right.
me seeing that often, it
Sure.
would it would make me not want to ask her for things. Like, as a
Hmm.
kid, it's like, Mom, can I have this action
Yeah,
figure?
yeah. I
Or,
mean, dude,
Mom,
that means you're a good kid too, just based on that. Like you care about your mom. You don't want, that just you can tell. That's like a comes from a good kid.
yeah. So yeah, and then I always use this example, like whenever I wanted a haircut and I couldn't get one,
Yeah.
like that drove me nuts, man. I'm like, Mom, I need a haircut. She's like, you just got one last month. And I'm like, that's last month. Like I need a haircut. Like I'm ugly, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, man.
So that's kind of
Yeah.
where my early drive came from. And then I don't know
Okay.
how, but I was just always attracted to success. Like
Hmm.
Success Magazine had these success CDs in there where
Yeah.
Darren Hardy would interview people. And I just soaked that stuff up. So while I was delivering pizzas for Papa John's and
Hmm.
getting my degree, I was more interested in listening to, John Maxwell on leadership, Brian Tracy on sales.
Yeah.
Um, this is before Grant Cardone and all them like really popped off, but Tony
Hmm.
Robbins.
Yeah.
I was listening to Tony Robbins. I illegally burned Tony Robbins' sales mastery course,
Yeah.
and I would pop those CDs in while I was delivering pizzas. Like I wasn't in sales, I wasn't in leadership, but I just
Hmm.
loved that stuff, and I couldn't wait to be in a position to actually like use that stuff.
For sure. For sure. And so then that brought you to like your buddy, right? That he kind of had an all-state agency. You were at the Top Golf, and then that was the moment you were like, okay, I'm gonna take the 25K. I'm gonna just, send this thing and just no turning back. Was that pretty much it right there? Or
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And I'll be
Mhm.
honest, I think a big reason what gave a big thing that made me comfortable with that decision. Well, first and
Mhm.
foremost, his name is Will. He's the first person I interviewed on my A1 agents.
Oh, nice.
And we've been family friends for years. And we worked at Subway together. And
Okay.
then he gets a job at a bank. And
Mhm.
then he comes in flashing his commission checks. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna work at a bank. And then so I get a job at the same bank. And then he gets fired from the bank. And
Oh,
then
shoot.
fumbles around for a little bit, and then opens up an Allstate office. And then when I was done with banking, when I was like, I freaking hate this. And then he invited me to Top Golf for his sister's birthday. I didn't have money. And he's like, you should just open up an insurance agency. Like, you can do this.
Yeah.
And I just put my trust in that because I knew I would have his mentorship, and he's been successful in everything that he's ever put his mind to. So I knew I'd have his mentorship and kind of guidance. And that was a big piece for me.
Like your age, or how old is the guy?
Yeah, he's only a year older than me.
Oh, nice, man. Sounds
Only
like
a year
friend.
older than me. Yeah, he's one of my best friends, and full circle now, like, the dude's opened up multiple Subways, and he still has his Allstate office. So
he went back to the Subway. He just like couldn't.
Yeah.
So, dude, good for him though. You know, he got the opened up his own. It's legit.
Yeah. No, he's definitely 10x, and I think he's gonna have Subways all in Vegas here in no time.
Dang. Well, shout out to Will. That's awesome, man. That's it's good stuff. Obviously, you had to recognize, his mentality, and you had to take the leap and do it too, because that's not easy, man. Especially for the audience, like people watching, a lot of them are people just getting going. I'm sure it's very similar to yours, just getting going, thinking about getting started. And I think that moment there, it's a crucial moment when you decide to, really go for it. So it takes a lot, man. I think that's a great little story to share. So thank you. And Nick, I wanted to ask you now, after how many years are you in? How many years is it?
We just hit our 5-year. We hit 5-year in November. So 5 years in the business, and
nice.
Yeah, it's been an amazing 5 years. The first couple obviously were challenging, but just like with anything, it started. I think the last, how long have you been an agent for now?
Yeah, so my agency has been, it's approaching 4 years. In June, it'll be the 4-year mark.
Okay.
So we're right behind you. Roughly a year behind.
Okay. So I was just going to tell you that in my 5 years, the last year and a half, I think we really hit our stride. And it's really cool for you, because I'm pretty sure you're really going to hit a stride right about now. And that's when things just start happening really, really fast. So 5 years in the business, and we're just getting started, man.
What do you think that was though, Nick? Like, what's that stride? Like, is it just consistency, would you say? Or like, what is it that got that? Because that's honestly a selfish thing for me too. Like, I want to know.
So I think I realized that it was right around our 3.5-year mark, was right around when 2020 happened, and we all know what happened in 2020, how challenging that was. But before that had happened, I had already hired a bunch of people, and I didn't want to tell them, a lot of people started to kind of downsizing during that time. And for us, I just rolled with it. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to tell these people, like, never mind, we're going to keep on moving forward. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to keep on moving forward. I invested a lot more from a mentorship, and I paid my buddy, who has a really awesome telemarketing system, to come to my office and teach us it. Nice. And so I think I was just in a position where I said, I don't know about you, but every time I would grow my agency, and I would get complacent in a way, I would get comfortable, I'd find a way to just put myself through chaos again.
Yeah.
Not being challenged enough.
That's a great way to put it.
Not being challenged enough. Let's do something crazy. And then we open our second office, and then things start coasting. And then it's like, why did I open my second office? Why the heck did I do this? And then things start smoothing out for the second office. And then I'm like, all right, I'm getting bored. Let's do it again. Third office, let's go. And then
No, I hear you. I feel like that's probably a lot of other entrepreneurs and agency owners. I think it's also just keeps it exciting. You know, like when you hiring a new person and waking up and knowing like you got to train the new guy, or like you got to go and, you know, there's a big account sitting on your desk, or like you're going to open a new office, or, you know, we're going to rebrand, or whatever chaos that you're creating. I think it just also keeps you excited and keeps you going, you know, at least
It
for
totally
me.
does.
Yeah. That's a great
And
way
then
to put it.
and then I
Yeah.
think our team gets to feed off of our excitement, which keeps them excited. Um,
Sure.
because if they see us get complacent, they're going to get complacent. They'll
Right.
get comfortable. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, Nick, I want to dive into a couple other things here. As far as like now, after hitting your stride and everything, are you in? So I saw what you posted something. Are you in like the top 10 of like all state agencies? Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if that's like,
so no, this was awesome. This literally just happened 2 days ago.
yeah,
We were at I took my whole team to a hockey game because in the
uh-huh,
last 3 months we've hit sales months that we've never hit before.
yeah,
Like we broke our personal best record back to back to back months.
yeah,
And this month we're working on it, but we lost a person. We're rehiring, so I don't know if we're gonna
okay,
break it a fourth time. But anyway, that's aside from the fact.
yeah,
But we're at a hockey game celebrating those
uh-huh,
record months, and I get a message from somebody on Instagram who's an agent in California, I think, and she
hmm,
says congratulations, and she screenshots me like a top 10 report, and I'm like, what's this? And she's like, this was on Gateway, which is like this was pretty much
yeah,
on Allstate's main page, and in the west side of the nation, so it's like the
okay. The
west
Western region,
the western region.
yeah,
We were eighth in premium written in all the West Coast for the month of March, and I was like, holy cow, like that's cool,
dude,
man.
wow,
Like, that's
dude,
freaking
that's
awesome.
hey man. Yeah, if you're able to do it once, you could definitely do it again, and you can keep repeating it. And then, dude, that's awesome, man. I just wanted to point that out because I wasn't sure if that was like, I wasn't sure exactly what that was. It looked like I saw some other big names up there, so I was like, hey man, that's if you're in the same category as some of these guys, it's impressive for sure.
Yeah,
So
no doubt about it. Now there is the entire country is a different story. I don't think I'm
yeah,
nowhere near
yeah.
close to there. The entire country, there's some big hitters in Texas, and they've
Okay.
got some fat premiums over there. So
Hey,
we've got some work to do before we're in the whole nations category.
yeah. I mean, I don't think you're that far off, man. Well, Nick, what about like would you say there's any specific marketing strategies, sales strategies, anything that you think is what differentiates you and putting you into those kind of top, numbers, um, or any secret sauce that you guys would say you have in your agency that make differentiates you?
Yeah, no, great question. I would say, well, two things. I think that we've grown our book primarily through two things, but three things that are starting to take to get a lot of momentum right now.
Uh-huh.
I've always been an internet lead guy. I was told that hey,
Okay.
you have to buy internet leads, and so, but I've always been very conservative with the amount of
Mm,
internet leads I buy.
interesting.
Which could be a detriment. Like meaning that there are times where I should have spent a lot more on internet leads, but I was just
Sure.
too conservative to do it.
Yeah.
So I've always spent what I could afford on internet leads, which isn't a lot. And now I'm proud of how much we're writing because I still don't spend an
Hmm.
exuberant amount of money on internet leads like some of the agents across the country do.
For sure. For sure.
So it's been a mix of internet leads, social media, and personal branding, and just putting
Hmm.
ourselves out there. Asking for referrals, the obvious customer referrals, social media
Yeah.
referrals. And then what we've been doing a really good job of lately is building partnerships with mortgage officers, loan officers,
That's gold, man. Yeah, that stuff's great.
other insurance offices, a few car dealerships. I'm not crazy about car dealership business,
Yep.
but those three things. And when we started working the internet leads properly a year and a half, yes, for 3.5 years, I don't
Uh-huh.
think we worked the internet leads properly. Like
Sure.
me and my team would, or not me, but my team would call an internet lead 2, maybe 3 times and be like, it's a bad lead. And
Yeah.
that's not how you work internet leads. Like you've got to call them like 10 times the first day through different phone numbers, right? Through different phone numbers, right?
Yeah.
And there needs to be a solid process behind working internet leads for you to see results. And I don't think that we really tapped into that until year 4.
How did you dial that in for yourself, Nick? Was it just like you testing like this? Okay, this worked, this didn't work. Or did you get that from someone? Like, how did you come up with that process?
Yeah. So with as far as working the internet leads, when I adopted my friend's telemarketing system, and I paid him to come out to my office. His name's Ryan Berglund. He runs a consulting business called Agency CPR.
Okay.
And you probably don't hear about him because he's not a social media guy.
Yeah.
But he's out here in Vegas, and he was crushing it with Allstate while he was with Allstate. He pivots into Farmers, and then now he's crushing it at Farmers.
Wow.
I went to his office one time and I just saw what he had going on, and I'm like, dude, it's electric in here. Like there's like everyone's on the phones.
Yeah.
And I need this for my office because my energy in my office is not the same. So I paid him to come out to my office. I never had in-house telemarketers before. I never had telemarketers before. So he put me onto his whole program with telemarketers. So I started hiring telemarketers. They have a requirement of having 20 transfers minimum a day. And so they're getting people on the phone.
Wow.
Into a parking lot. And then my sales team is picking up these leads in the parking lot, which allows my sales team to really dial in and focus in on talking to people, like talk time, quoting people.
Talk time. That's pretty much.
Versus like 100, 200 dials. Yes, I require that they have 100 dials, but working the internet leads how they're supposed to be worked versus calling them 2 or 3 times and saying, I'm not interested, or, like, and if you've ever like reviewed your employees' work, you'll see someone say, not interested, and then they'll hang up, and then employee will put in the lead's notes will just say, customer hung up, not interested. And in my opinion, that's not that they're not interested. We just called it a bad time. Call them back 3 months from now. Right? That's not a bad thing. They just, like, I've hung up on people before. That doesn't mean I'm not interested. It just means they called me at a bad time, or they did a bad job when they were on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, meaning like, hey, Chris, this is Nick over at, Farmers. I got that quote that you requested. Would you be interested in going over it with me real quick? Like, no, that's not how you work that lead.
Yeah.
It's, hey, Chris, I got that quote that you requested. You're still living at 123 Main Street, right?
Right.
Like, that's appropriate, right? And my buddy taught me little things like
it's subtle. It's very subtle, huh? Like, it's just like the small shift in even the question that you're asking versus like, you still want to review this quote? It's like, nah, dude, I'm good. I'm busy as hell right now. I can't do it. Versus like, you're still at this street, right? Oh yeah. I'm still there. Like I'm still living there. It's just small shifts.
Assuming even little as this was the best for telemarketing. It's called no HSP, which he calls a horseshit pause. Horrible shit pause, which is,
oh, I see.
If I call you and it goes ring, 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 and you go, hello, you better not be able to count till 2 seconds. You better only get to 1 second before you go, hey, Nick, this is Chris over at,
I see. Yeah.
So if it goes 2 seconds, like, that's the notorious telemarketing pause. You know what I mean? That if somebody calls me right now and I go, hello, and it goes 1, 2, 3.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Sakha. Like, click. I'm hanging up.
What do you think that pause is? What is that? Like, is that just like a delay in the phone, you think? Or is that like people are just like trying to figure out what to say? Like,
I think it's a combo. I think people aren't prepared. I think they're making so many phone calls about that by the time somebody answers, they're like, oh,
yeah.
And they're not prepared. They're like, oh shit, and they're like, oh, may I speak with? And then you've lost. Like, you've lost.
It's probably on a dialer or something.
Yeah.
Nick, I was gonna ask you too, how long did you actually do sales? Are you still doing sales, or are you kind of hands off now, more of like the training? And like, what's your plan with that? Like, are you trying to get out of it, or what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I don't sell. I haven't sold. I think last year I sold one policy, which I'm pretty proud of.
Wow.
I sold
Okay.
one, I sold one policy. Now, I still there's certain people that only want to deal with me. And if
Right.
it's like, if it's like, and I hate to say this, but if it's like high level people where there's
Sure.
like a
Sure. Sure.
big relationship, involved, then I want to do that myself. I
Right.
want to make sure that I take care of them. But for the most part, like a lot of times, even if I do quote it, I
Hmm.
will and sell it. I'll give it to my team because I'm like, hey, close this because I'm too busy. Like and
Yeah.
I really took that to heart when they say, stop being so busy in your business so you can work on the business, right?
Right. Right.
So yeah, I stopped selling. I want to say at least year three for sure. No, I'll say year four. So like once I was fully 3 years in, like I totally hands
You
off.
stopped.
Yeah, and I'm
Gotcha.
focused on working on the business and um so yeah, I would say about that. But in the beginning,
Nice.
I'll be honest, it was hard for me to let it go.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was, it was hard for me to let it go.
Yeah. The no, I mean, I'm still presently, like, I just to let you know, I'm still selling actively in my agency, and I've tried to kind of pull myself out, and it's tricky, man. Like, I've especially when the training isn't all there and everything is still kind of coming together. Like, you're gonna have some downtime between like you stopping and everybody being dialed in and crushing it. So that's, at least for me, that's kind of what I saw. I was like, like I still need to keep, oxygen pumping into here before I completely let it, like, go for it. But that was, yeah, it was interesting. It's always interesting to know, especially successful agencies that are really growing. Um, Nick, real quick, I wanted to ask you
It's
because,
it's a
yeah, go
challenge.
ahead.
It's a challenge too because I still find myself struggling with,
Uh-huh.
okay, how are these phone calls going? And me, like I struggled with that. Like, am I gonna still be credible if I try to teach my team how to
Yeah.
sell if I'm not actively selling?
Right.
And so it's that dynamic, but we've figured it out. And
Nice.
I totally I just observe the activities and we listen to phone calls and all that stuff. And we're plugged into RPOA. We're plugged into
Yeah,
Craig
it's good
Craig
stuff.
Craig Wiggins coaching
Oh,
and
wow. Nice.
yeah, but yeah.
Nick, what's the best piece of advice you've gotten? Is there something that stood out to you early on, or when you got your agency going? Anything you can think of off the top of your head? Or maybe even like a worse piece of advice that you got? Anything that was just like, hey man, like that, I don't agree with that.
I would say something that has really helped me is not being afraid to ask for help, you know.
Nice.
And there were so many days where there was a situation because in the beginning every situation is different because it's the
Uh-huh.
first time you're handling a certain situation. A lot of times it's with staff. It's like
Hmm.
this happened, that happened, and it's like how do I handle this? And you make good hires, you make bad hires, and so having a good circle of people that you can reach out to that are dealing with the same stuff as you,
Hmm.
like like if somebody's out there in your market and they find your YouTube channel,
Yeah.
not being afraid to try to establish a solid relationship with you, so
Hmm.
that way they can call you and say like, Chris, I'm going through X, Y, and Z. Like, how have you gone through this, and how did you handle it? Uh,
Yeah.
so a lot of that, I don't know everything, um,
Hmm.
and I always reach out to people. Like if my staff asked me a question till this day, I'm okay with saying, you know what, I'm not 100%. It may have changed right now. Let's
Yeah,
let's let's find out together.
for
And
sure.
reaching out to people. I still have mentors right now. Craig Wiggins is.
Yeah.
Uh, I've got him on speed dial. Anytime I need anything, I reach out to him.
He's
Uh,
another like successful agent, or what does he do? Coaching or?
yeah, yeah. Craig Craig built a $40 million agency, and
Nice.
then he recently exited to focus primarily on his coaching business, Craig Wiggins Coaching.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, shoot, man. I mean, he knows a few things, huh? So he's
yeah,
probably
and he's just
good good move.
great person. So like, but just not being afraid to reach out to people, man, because
Yeah.
this stuff is totally hard, man. Like,
It's difficult, yeah, for sure. It makes me nervous sometimes, honestly, when people say like, "Hey, I want to start an agency," like I really want to do it. Like I'm super motivated. I saw your videos, stuff like that, and I start to think, I'm like, "Shoot, dude, I don't know if you're down for this stuff. Like, are you like some of this stuff?" I'm like over here. I'm a young guy. I feel like I got energy, and I'm going at it hard. And sometimes I feel like, dude, like there's ups and downs. It just the lows kind of suck sometimes, and it's difficult. So yeah, man. Nick, real quick, I want to be respectful of your time too here. So I usually close out whenever I do like a quick interview with someone. Do you have any go-to quotes for people, or even like a go-to favorite book that you would recommend? Either one, quote that you live by or something, and a book that you would recommend for people to, elevate.
yeah, God, I got so many books, and
Uh-huh.
I do a lot of I'm crazy about self-development, man. I just
Yeah.
like obsessed. I think that's my real passion, right?
Yeah.
Is success and self-development. And I'm just using insurance as my vehicle to be able to talk about that later, right?
Totally.
I think that three of my favorite books that are top of my head are As a Man Thinketh. It's like a short read, 60 pages, and like every
Nice.
sentence in this book is a freaking like quote. Like the whole book is highlighted. As a Man Thinketh. Second book is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Great book.
Even though like I thought that I was good with people until I read that book, and I'm like, okay, there's a science to this. There's a science
For
to
sure.
this. There's a science to people and influence. And then if you think about leadership and building a team, it's just influence. And
True.
so that book has helped me. And then there's a great leadership book by John Maxwell called
Uh-huh.
Great Leadership Book. And let me make sure I get it right, because it's been a while.
Is it like a purple cover book, maybe, or no, no, no? John
uh,
Maxwell. It sounds familiar.
John Maxwell, he has a ton of books on leadership, but
Hmm.
this one was probably my favorite, which is Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. And
Interesting.
and out of all the leadership books that I've read from him, I thought that this one just stuck with me the most. And especially being in a leadership position, when you build a big team
Hmm.
or organization, it's being a good leader is necessary. And
100%.
so I think that book, it just gets you to think about asking more questions, versus telling people what to do. It's you're asking people questions.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's totally that's a big part of what we do as advisors too, kind of um, you know, not only as a leader but as an advisor, I
Yeah.
think. So
Oh,
big deal.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, totally. Well, hey, Nick, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. I wrote a couple of those down. I'm gonna check out As a Man Thinketh. That sounds like a good one. So yeah, I'm
That
excited. But
that's my that's my all-time favorite.
yeah, okay, I'll definitely check that out. But Nick, that I don't want to be respectful of your time here too. So thank you. Appreciate you being on here. And where can people find you if they're looking for you on social media?
Yeah.
Or
So
looking for a quote, man, in Vegas? Like where are they?
yeah, if you need a quote, hit me up, man. So you could find me on YouTube, Nicholas Sakha, Sakha, and then on Instagram, TikTok, and Instagram and TikTok, it's Nick exclusive.
Nice.
I really ought
Nice.
to pivot and just have it all in uniform, right? Nicholas Sakha, all three. But TikTok and Instagram, Nick exclusive, and then
Mhm.
on Facebook, Nicholas Sakha as well.
Cool. Sounds good. Well, yeah, anybody out there watching, make sure to check out Nick. He's up and coming. I think you'll be up there, man. No joke. Like I seriously mean it. You know, when I saw that the top 10, I was like, dude, you're right on your way. You deserve it too. It seems like you're hustling, and it seems like you're a great guy too. So stoked to have you on here, and hopefully, you know, brought some value to people and they can kind of hear your story, and who knows, maybe they'll follow in your footsteps and be the next, you know, Nick Sakha in the insurance game. So
Well, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate
for
everything
sure.
that you're doing for the insurance community, man. I see you putting out a lot of content. I see you stepping your game up, and I really I've seen your progress from like your early videos to what you're doing now,
Yeah,
and you're just doing a great job of documenting your journey,
for
which
sure.
makes which helps so many people more than you think. So
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. That means a lot. I appreciate it. And yeah, let's jump over. Let's do our thing with the A1. So
yes, sir.